Hi, so it is the solstice, and I was going to do two readings. One was for Venus retrograde in Capricorn, and the other one was for the solstice, but they're going to be merged together. And it's very interesting. I was driving home yesterday. Um, I say driving, I was really sitting still on the highway for over an hour. And up on the southern sky, there was a really bright planet. And I at first thought it was Venus, but it was actually Jupiter. And that's going to be an interesting rating too. I'm going to get into that later in the month when when Jupiter, sorry, goes into Pisces. And so when I looked it up, I had asked my daughter to look on her phone and see what planet would be south, at approximately whatever, 25 degrees up in the air. And she looked it up on her phone. And when I got back, I looked it up as well. And sure enough, it was Jupiter, very bright. Venus would have been really close to the horizon at that time. And when you look it up, Jupiter is boom, bright, right in the middle of Aquarius. And it's going to be going into Pisces, which is going to be really exciting for many reasons, which we won't talk about now, but that is something to look forward to. And tonight is the longest night in our calendar. I mean, we've probably been feeling like we've been experiencing many long nights and long days, long months and long years on one hand, and on the other hand, where did these last 2 years go? And the moon was still really big, and it had a yellowy golden hue to it last night as well, here on the West Coast anyway. It was really interesting. And I've got some new cards. They weigh a ton, like they're really heavy compared to, it feels like it's got to be like a pound. I'm going to weigh these and see how heavy they really are. They are called the universal weight. So they're based on the very traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck, but they've got this sort of antique feel to them. And I've just sort of fiddled around with them a little on my own, and I think they're ready. They're a little bit sharp, I have to say. The edges are a little bit, I feel like I need to give them a sanding. So Venus, when we think about Venus, I don't know where it is in your chart. In mine, it's in Pisces. I've got a lot of Pisces in my chart, but Venus in Capricorn, and it's going retrograde. So first of all, Venus is spinning a different direction because at some point it was hit with a asteroid or something. And so it, flung it. No, those are my sound effects. If you think about when you're playing pool or something like that, and how a ball could spin in a different direction depending on what hits it, it's a similar kind of thing. And the retrograde phenomenon, if you're not familiar, is that other planets in relation to Earth will appear, because they're not actually changing direction, but they will appear to be moving backwards from our vantage point, because all of our solar system is moving. It's not stationary. Everything is kind of moving. And then our orbiting the sun and the other planets orbiting the sun, they're all over the place. Okay, so we're not all lined up nice and evenly doing our little thing around the earth, around the sun. Sorry, and my mouth is not working very well today. So Venus and Capricorn, relationships, finances, we're still carrying over energies of a lot of things that I spoke about in that full moon reading. People popping up from the past. The shadow period for Venus retrograde would have started, I think it was November 17th. And then it stations direct, and then it starts moving backwards. And it stations direct again January 29th, I believe. And then that shadow period is going to go all the way until March 1st. And interestingly enough, in the reading that I did about the full moon, the timing card that came out was 10 weeks. So that energy is a 10-week window of time, which would bring us closer to March than anything else. So let's see here. What am I going to start with? I'm just going to shuffle these a little bit and we'll see where we go. I think we need to look at these things a little bit separately. There's love and finances will be the two primary things. Leave these aside. I'm going to show you. I use these other decks, these other oracle decks that you're probably familiar with now. Let's get that angle. So the Spirit Oracle, they're all different. They're not tarot. Some are, vertical and some are landscape. The card that flew out twice, and I do this with this deck, I shuffle and I wait for a card to either slide up or fly right out. The card that showed up was this, Passion, and it flew out twice. In the same way, I shuffled and it made its way up like that, which, no pun intended there, but okay. So it says, I'll read it to you, the message is on the back. It says, love, sexual energy, passions aroused, vital life force, kundalini, the sun, giver of life, strength, a gift. New infusion of energy, something beyond your control, surrender. Well, that's kind of interesting. That feels very much like the combination of Venus doing anything and the solstice. We're beginning to go into this time of optimism. The daylight is going to start increasing. We're thinking, not doing, but thinking about ideas around relationships and money and the things that we spend our time on. I think the last time Venus went retrograde in Capricorn was like, don't quote me on this, but I think it was like 2013. So it takes a while for this very specific energy to come back around. Now, the other deck that I use, and even though it's made in Italy, so it's not so authentic, I would say, is this deck here. But it always has something interesting to say, although it doesn't always say it in the best way. So again, the card that I got is this. Okay, just hold that steady. So you can get a good look at him. Number 15, 6, which in the tarot is the Lovers. Number 15, the Devil. Yeah. The Trickster here. Okay, so it says, I have to read these to you because I do not know these by heart, and I think all the verbiage, although not always exactly in the best English, is critical. So the name of that card is called the Divine Rogue, and it's about contrast, which is a very interesting card to have on the winter solstice. Okay, so keep that in mind. The rogue is the anti-hero, the transgressor, the rebel who mocks and overturns social norms through swindles, frauds, and jokes. This trickster brings valuable teachings about the nature of opposites. Okay. He brings us into situations of exaggerated hunger, unbridled sexual yearnings. Okay, and we had that show up coincidentally or not. Okay, unbridled sexual yearnings and unlimited wandering, teaching us the dangers and benefits of impulsive behavior. So keep in mind, Venus and Capricorn right now, we are thinking revisiting the ideas around relationships and finances, sexuality and passion, and all of those things, relationships from the past, all of the things that ignite us. What Venus does, what Venus handles, we're rethinking it. Things other people might be rethinking it and recontacting us. And so it's not necessarily to do something or to act on it, but to rethink it, revisit it. Once Venus moves out of this, you could maybe set something in stone. But during this time, which is like a little over a month, you are reimagining, rethinking. Okay. So, yeah. So yes, teaching us the dangers and benefits of impulsive behavior. The masks represent the bad brother, the sun at dusk, and the dead who are exorcised by reproducing their features. By reproducing and imprisoning these energies, we can better understand, control, and redistribute them for the good of all. I'll show you that picture again. Okay. And so think about the masks that we wear, the masks that others have worn. How did that influence our choices? How did our masks influence other people's choices, decisions? Okay, so the message is always remember to look at the other side of things. There are two sides to every story, and benefits and risks to everything. The key words are contrast, jokes, tricks, twists, impulsive actions, excess, wisdom through understanding, and unexpected results. And you want to know the biggest joke of this? The time period is summer. On the winter solstice, we get the card representing summer. Talk about trickster energy. So 6 months from now, exactly, we will be on the summer solstice, the exact opposite of where we are now. We have the card that talks about the opposite. Okay. Now, okay, so stuff is beginning to come in. I say that and I'm like getting the channel coming in here. So let's see. What does this mean? What does the solstice mean? And not what does the solstice mean? They know what I'm asking. It just sounds stupid. And Venus going retrograde in Capricorn. What does this mean? Okay, well, there we go. We've got Capricorn. First card at the bottom of the deck. I'm going to do it this way. Okay, Six of Swords. Now, you've heard me describe this card in previous readings where I didn't have such a traditional deck. And the Six Swords are poking into the bottom of this boat that the guy is moving with this stick. I don't know the name of that. It's like what a gondolier would use or whatever. You typically only use it in shallow water, like a river or a canal. And there's two other figures in this deck. So it looks like a man and then a woman and a child. Now, if you pull out those swords, the boat will flood. So you have a limited time period here. Okay. And it's typically a slow moving card, but you are escaping certain difficulty. If you have made it this far, and all the other stuff I've talked about in the last several readings, if you have made it this far, you probably did the work and you are now landing. You might have gone through dark night of the soul, dark 200 nights of the soul or whatever, and you have come through, dusted yourself off, and have said like, okay, time to move forward. There's change happening here. This is like escaping. And any worse disaster, really. You are escaping into 2022, essentially. The end of December should not be any worse, generally speaking, than anything that's happened for the last couple of months. Okay, so that is the first card that's coming out at the bottom of the deck. And Miss Capricorn herself. So the Queen, here we go. The Queen of Pentacles. It's a very organized energy. And we've seen this a lot lately too, the Seven of Wands. So defending yourself, defending your position, similar to what I was reading with that trickster energy, okay? Not dimming your light. And I talked about that in the full moon reading as well. Seeing things from a different angle, the Hanged Man. Messages coming in. Ooh. And I'm not going to go further back than that. The Knight of Swords. So stuff is coming in. This is all very much, and a Knight of Wands right after that. I said I wasn't going to go further, but okay. Finished shuffling. I was finished shuffling. I didn't cut the deck yet. So all of that stuff is beginning to rush forward, including the sunlight, the daylight. But we are revisiting ideas without taking huge action. We're taking steps. Try not to be impulsive. The truth is coming out. That's another thing. The truth is coming to light. If you're a person like me, I like the truth, even if it's bad news, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's horrible. In fact, I like dealing with the facts. I don't like deception or secrets. So if you're like that, this is a good time for you. Things are becoming illuminated. We even had runes in that full moon reading. It was kanaz, and that's the bonfire and illumination and things being brought to light. And it's also connecting. It's people around a bonfire, which again, the solstice energy is like that. That's what people used to do. Okay, so I'm going to cut the deck. We got this again. This has just been this Aquarius theme of the star. Okay, and this is very traditional as well. So we've got the water going in, back into the water to reabsorb, and the water that's nurturing the ground here. It's very lush, it's very green. We've got this 8-pointed star. Been watching a show on Netflix called The Gift, and it's a Turkish show all about Göbekli Tepe and traveling back and forth in time and different timelines. This star is there too. So if you're into that kind of thing, it's interesting. It's very interesting. Okay, and it's the star is typically a number 17, which is an 8, and we've got 8 stars here. Okay. All right. Now for the actual reading. It's preliminary stuff. Okay, so the first card out, is the 5 of Wands. I think this is just a general first, and I'm going to go into the love and into the money stuff. So 5 of Wands. I think this is more about how people are feeling in general. Constant changes. So we're heading into this holiday season, lots of regulations, and they keep changing. I know here where I live, everything's just changed in the last couple of days again. So this is petty squabbling, bickering, which a lot of people have in their household around the holiday time anyway. But this is a little more amplified right now. This is the very first card that comes out. What I found interesting in this deck too is that a lot of the kings have a very feminine energy and a lot of the queens have a very masculine energy. So I'm just going to pull another one here just to see what's happening. Okay. Okay, pulled out 5 as an overall thing. So the first card, 5 of Wands. Then we've got the Queen of Wands. So like I said, I find her very masculine for a fiery queen. And this is, there's a cute little cat there. It actually looks like my cat sitting there at the bottom. And makes me think of Can't the Cat Look at the Queen kind of thing. So this is fiery creative energy, but it also has to do with masks or almost like that feeling of the other woman. When you think of Venus, like the goddess Venus, and this, she's the goddess of love and beauty, and she's going backwards, and it's like she's somebody else. And so you could take that, also the other card we had of the opposite, something going in the opposite direction. But it's also, are you in a situation where you are the other woman, or there is another woman? It might gender non-specific here, but that kind of vibe. And it's almost like wearing a mask or being two-faced or deceptive. And that's the vibe I'm getting with these two right here as a general overall thing. Are people being deceptive right now around this time due to the constraints that are happening? So they're willing to behave impulsively in order to get their way, kind of thing, rather than maybe rebel outright and openly. It's something deceptive going on. Also, the bigger energies feel deceptive, but these are all minor arcana, so they're more about our individual selves on a very personal day-to-day level, not about the bigger energies. So that's also interesting. And then we have the 3 of Wands here, the 3 of Wands and the 7 of Discs. This is usually about growth money and planning, but it feels like people are having a hard time planning for this right now. And because everything is in flux. But it's what I'm getting though, is that you have to do this to shift that energy. Go with the flow of that shifting energy, because that energy is bigger than any of the petty stuff that's going on. And so you get this Ace of Discs here as an overlying energy for where this reading is going. This is an offer coming out of nowhere. Most interesting stuff comes out of nowhere. Like how much of what you really plan or plan for happens? Most of the stuff, the interesting people that you meet, your partners, your job, whatever. Did you plan for all of that stuff? Probably not. So this offer is coming forward, but you cannot be caught up in all of this other stuff. We have, okay, so we've got, look at the sun and the moon connected. So this is definitely this time of year. This is talking about now. Tonight would be a good time on the solstice to I just got completely tongue-tied. Too many words came to the forefront. To do a solstice ritual, because the daylight is going to expand as we move forward. So what is it that you would like to have expand in your life? And also, what would you like to see subside? So there's a little ritual where you can write 3 things that you would like to put to rest and 3 things that you would like to see grow. And there's a little symbol. Let's see if I can find that little symbol for you. to put on each one as you sort of meditate on it. But this is very interesting that the two of these are together. What else do we have on the bottom? And judgment. So we've got all the major arcana stuff at the bottom. We have judgment. This is fated. Whatever's happening now is fated. So it's time to do your thing. It's time to do, everybody's rejoicing there, but you got to do stuff. So this is the time to revisit all the things. We have your wish fulfillment, very content, jolly, portly fellow. And then the tower, big change happening as we move in, and the high priestess. So all the major arcana are happening under the surface. You have to deal with all this little petty stuff on the surface first. Deep down, the big stuff, it will happen if you take all these little steps right now. Make the plan. It doesn't matter if the plan is going to unfold exactly in the way that you want. It's the energy that you put into it. You have to go in with optimism, not fear, seeking truth, not being right, looking for love, not dealing with suspicion or drama, or, focus on the things that you are trying to manifest, and not using words like not this and not that. What is the opposite? And focus on that, because the universe doesn't understand, I don't want whatever. The moment that you focus on it, draws attention to it. So fine, you can think of the things that you don't want to manifest over the next, let's say, 10 weeks. Use that to create the thing that you want, the opposite. What is the opposite of what you don't want? And then really focus on that. So let's see here. Cards are really heavy, and I have to be careful not to let them slide in my hand too much because they're quite sharp. So let's look at the love area first. And it feels constricting. I feel constricted in my chest right now. Oh boy, the cards, cards that are flying out on this one. This is very interesting. It's saying constricting, and I can see why. Okay, so the first batch of cards that come up for this. This Two of Pentacles. It's often about a choice, but it's also about balance. Look at this. And it's this infinity symbol. And I mean, there's so much I could say, and I'm not even going to say it, but the hat, seriously. Just leave it at that. Just draw your attention to the hat. But he looks like a court jester in a way. And he's trying to balance these energies, these very material, I wouldn't want to say materialistic, but they're pentacles. So it's typically money. Something comes in, something goes out, something comes in, something goes out. It's not enough. It's not growth here. This is just enough. And if you're looking at, this is pertaining to your love life, this is kind of like, you're choosing between two things. It's almost like choosing between two political parties. Nobody's really coming up and giving you what it is that you want. It's kind of like, well, this one has this and this one has that, but nobody's really, it's a little bit of this and a little bit of, you could combine the two of them, maybe you get something good. It's that kind of vibe. And I have to say, that hat, the hat. Okay, the Hermit energy. This is, yes, it's a Led Zeppelin album cover, but it's not the only reason I like it. It's illuminating something, and I like the way he's looking there. He's not even looking where he's going, he's looking where his feet are. Like, it's not far-reaching thing. This is very much this time where you just sort of focused here, right now. Introspection. And he's got that walking stick. not because he's old, but he wants to be sure-footed. So this is what we're doing at this time. So pertaining to love, yeah, maybe you're a little solitary right now, but it's okay as long as you're doing some inner work still. And then it gets exciting. So guess what? If you are somebody seeking that divine masculine, because I think right now with this, it's the divine feminine has been doing, I said this before too, in the full moon reading, that divine feminine has been doing most of the work and is ready to sit back because the divine masculine was the runner. And that's coming back. This is the higher spiritual form of love. It's often depicted as the Pope or something like that, but the Hierophant, it represents the higher forms of a lot of different things. So if it was a company, it would be a large corporation. If it was a relationship, it's a soulmate connection. If it's education, it's university, if those kind of things. Okay, so you get it. Something big happening here. So on this level, this also is very much like that hermit energy. And when you look at this, so the soulmate energy stuff is happening in the background. All your big purpose, your soul tribe, all of those things, you're connected. You are connected, even though you feel isolated. So you're feeling like this, and probably the holiday season is not helping. There's just a little bit of this, and I feel like that, and all the cups are spilt, and woe is me, and I'm all alone, and blah, blah, blah. That is happening. When we look at these two things, so this is that growth. The stuff is happening. Stuff is actually working. You can't see it. Everybody's working on themselves. Your divine counterpart is working on themselves. They're just not there. And if they are there, and if you think, well, my divine counterpart is there, something is not coming together that you can't see. Something is hidden from your view, but it's being worked on in private or in the 5D. Look, we've got the sun, moon, we've got the star and the moon and the sun consecutively. The fourth ones. It's all coming together. Stuff is happening. That's the 1111 card. And then the 10 of Pentacles. Come on, this is big stuff. When we're talking about that soulmate connection, all of the right cards are coming up. Not the 10 of Cups didn't come up yet. But let's see. Let me just go a little further in this. Okay, I'm going to just get, I think it's just 2 or 3 cards. There. My heart feels very constricted with this energy because it feels like people are thinking, that collective is like, no, I'm going to hold it all in. I'm not going to put it out there. And then there's that opposite vibe happening again, because you want all these things and you've done the work, but in the last moment here, you're going like, no, I think I'm gonna just hold it all in. Well, you can hold it all in. Don't do it out of fear. Hold it all in with optimism that in the right time, you will let it out. You don't need to know a plan. Just be aware that there is a plan unfolding. You need to shift that energy and open up this heart chakra. Okay. I said 3 cards. And there's 1. Okay. Ooh. Sun and the moon again in this. Interesting. Okay. 8 of Cups, walking away from something. So you are revisiting the way you viewed something, and it's not serving a purpose anymore. So you're walking away from it. The truth is coming out. You're walking into the brightness. Things are slowly illuminating. This is not a bad thing. And this went flying out. So you do that and you get the Six of Wands, which is victory. Look at, the horse looks very pleased with himself. There's a victory wreath up there. The guy's wearing a wreath around his head, the laurels. He's sitting up very proudly. There's a lot of people cheering. All those wands have growth on them. So these two things together, the Eight of Cups. These are new cards and they are very slippy. Nothing hit the floor. Okay, so you're not walking away into something bad. You are walking away, creating a vacuum so that this can happen. It's amazing. Let me tidy this up a little bit here and see if anything jumps out. That one clearly. Queen of Cups. This is a very ornate cup, and it's got, they almost look like little pincers for Cancer. So it's water energy, the Queen of Cups. Little cherubs up there watching. She has her head kind of tilted down in a very humble sort of way. Fruitfulness, she's sitting very relaxed. She at least looks motherly and feminine. Her feet are crossed. She's receptive, nurturing. It's a lot of love there. Okay, so the other things that have flown out here, we have this offer of love and death. And this is so interesting because this is very much like the Knight of Cups. So through this transformation that's happening, and the Eight of Cups, you're saying goodbye to something, you're turning your back on something, you're walking away from something. There's death and transformation with an offer. This feels very much like an offer. And if it's not an offer from a person, an offer of love, and again, you don't have to say yes right now to anything. Just take those steps. You don't have to define anything. But this is something coming through. This is something coming forward. And with the Queen of Cups, it's a lot of love. That is a lot of love. Yeah, this is a good thing. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, there is something else. 1 second. I was just gonna say, okay, this is weird. When I was saying something's coming back, so I was thinking, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna say that. When we have Venus retrograde, the other reading that I did too, I was talking about people popping up from the past, revisiting old relationships and things like that, and be hearing from people. And I thought, well, isn't it funny though? We didn't get the Six of Cups. So I started to shuffle thinking, no, there's no more cards. And then the cards, something said, the cards didn't say, it was something said, no, there's just one more and you need one more. And the Six of Cups comes in. Combined with the cards that we've had with the Hierophant and I can't remember what we had, but I was talking about the soulmate energy. And the Six of Cups is about that as well. It has a lot of meanings, but that is one of them, being nostalgic and revisiting old relationships or people from the past resurfacing. So I guess that is stronger. The card at the bottom of the deck, Ace of Cups. There's definitely there's definitely some fun times in the next several weeks with, you know, passion and opposites and all of this soulmate energy business. I'm going to be very curious to see what Jupiter in Pisces has to deal with. And I have a feeling that this Venus in Capricorn has more to do with relationships than money. But we'll see. I said that, and then death and the Four of Swords happen. So you need to rest. You definitely need to rest, recuperate, to allow this transformation to sort of congeal. That needs to happen. I only read cards right side up. And we've got the Magician at the bottom of the deck, the 10 of Cups, the 8 of Swords. Really, the biggest hurdles are in your head. They're in your head. They're in your mind. They're in your belief system, limiting beliefs. That's really what's holding you back. So, yeah, all this stuff from the past, this temptation, bad relationships, who did what, you can't trust anybody, lots of drama, lots of impulsive behavior, codependent behavior. You're actually able to cut through the bullshit. Manifesting stuff. It's there. 10 of Cups. This is the happily ever after. This is your state of mind. And you've had it. It's the end of the line. It's the end of the line for those belief systems. Okay, let's get into the money. I want to talk about the money stuff. Venus and Capricorn and the solstice. Okay. Two cards that flew out again. Okay. All right. Love, new love feelings, somebody from the past. It can also be a new love that is nostalgic in some way, or going back, having a new love with somebody from the past, having a new love because you're now in a state of mind where you're not jaded anymore. And when you go back to that time when you were not jaded, that youthful exuberance that you had, innocence, maybe even being naive somewhat. So what? Wouldn't that be nice a little bit? Okay, you do know more than you knew then, but why hold on to the negative parts of that? Super slippy and very heavy. It's not a good combination. Something's popping up there. Page of Wands. Oh, okay. This is interesting. Nice, admiring that. Okay, Page of Wands. Pages are immature, and they could be younger people, but you know, I can't even begin to describe this. And it's 333 on my clock, and it's December 21st, which is a 3. December is a 3. So at this exact moment, we are 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay. I'm just going to keep him aside. Okay. Money, I said, right? Money, not young guys admiring their wallet. Just the immature guys. Then again, I'm laughing at it. So what does that say about me? Okay, here we go. There's that 9 of Swords, mental anguish. Okay, we're talking about money and finances here. Very interesting. Okay. So we're still down that road. Again, the Hierophant, this is the higher workings of things. So as I mentioned before, you can even include banks, large banks, banking institutions, institutions of all types, actually. And the Hermit. These are kind of odd together when we're talking about money in this case. This introspection, where am I spending my money? Where am I putting my money? Is my money going to be safe? And then there's all these options. The Seven of Cups, this is not a time to speculate, not a time to speculate. Do what you have to do. Maybe you're buying gifts and doing things, but it's really to reel it in. Really reel it in. In the bottom of the deck, we have the Lovers. We're talking about money here, so I think there's choices. A lot of stuff about making the right choices when it comes to money right now. Deciding between the head and the heart. This was a major influence a couple of weeks ago that lasted probably 2 weeks on either end. So that's still there. But then we have that 10 of Cups showing up again. So it's not really talking about being frugal right now, but I think it's about being ethical. Use your money to, with the Ace of Swords too, it's like use your money to amplify your voice without overspending. The things that you choose to spend on. Are you buying things? What is it that you're practically and financially, energetically tied to? The Page of Wands is like that. Just silly picture distracted me. But putting your creativity and spontaneity towards something. Spontaneity is great. Impulsivity, not so much. Being compulsive, not so much. It's kind of warning against all those things. I say that and I get constricted again. So being open and free and spontaneous, okay, that opens this heart chakra up for sure. By no means is it recommending to be impulsive though. So the lesson is learning those two things. So we have 2 wands here. So when it comes to money, really be cautious until the end of January for sure. What about things that you've put money into, that you've invested in, and projects and workspace and applying for jobs and job security and all those things? Okay. This is good. This is good. Okay, this is good. So we start off with the 2 of Wands. And these 2 cards came out together. So again, the Emperor is an authority figure. It could be you. It could be the overall energy. It's also the Divine Masculine. Divine Masculine is very good at focusing on all the material practical things. It's also very Capricorn time. This Venus in Capricorn is all about those things. Capricorn is a sign of, being orderly, following a routine, good business person, just like the Emperor. Okay. And then the 9 of Pentacles. This is gross money in a big way. So hold tight. Okay. The stuff is going to pay off. It is paying off. I'm surprised Temperance hasn't shown up. It probably will. The 5 of Swords and the 7 of Swords. So this is all petty stuff. Anything that is causing you to feel anxiety, check in with your solar plexus, check in with your heart chakra for both of these issues with the love and the money. It's okay to feel the butterflies. Butterflies are great. It's excitement, anticipation. The moment it starts to constrict, when you have that constricting feeling, it's a no. No. Okay. Start practicing getting in tune with that. Oh, look at, I went to pick up the deck. This was actually the bottom card, the moon, but when I picked it up, it only picked up from here. And the Hierophant again at the bottom. And what is that? The Nine of Swords. And the Fool is upside down. So that's interesting because I read the cards upright, but the Fool upside down, we're hitting this reset button, and yet maybe it just doesn't want to stay. Maybe you're a little reluctant to give it the final, you know, push that reset button completely. There's anything more about money that you need to know at this time, other than all the stuff is happening. Everything is working behind the scenes. Six of Cups again. Move that out for a moment. Anything else we need? Also, with the sixes, there's always a feeling of reciprocity. So if it's relationships, there's a give and take. The Six of Pentacles usually deals with financial reciprocity. You know, I've done this much work, I get this much money. It can happen on a cosmic level as well. If you are working from the heart, when you put your heart into it and you're not overly calculating, you also receive this reciprocity on a soul level. You will get that on the 5D level. If there's any last things about money, very good. Partnerships. So this is the Two of Cups. This is very harmonious. You know, we've got that symbol up there, the Cat of Seeds, which is like, you see it in the medical field, but it's the serpent fire. It's really the Kundalini, the two. Well, that's a whole other topic, but for our purposes here, this is again awakening. It's reciprocity between two people or two entities, two parts to the same thing. So having these two things together and having the Hierophant show up so many times, this is again soulmate stuff. So I'm asking about money, and it keeps saying that. On the bottom of the deck, we have the Devil and death and relaxing and all this stuff. Okay, so when we go back, we've got the Eight of Wands, loss of information coming forward, the Page of Discs, the 10 of Discs, the King of Cups. Okay, it's all happening, and I think, if I'm feeling this correctly, your finances are also linked to that soulmate energy as well. Queen of Pentacles, there she is, Capricorn. Cut, Eight of Cups, card. And just pull out three. Find feminine energy and strength. Yeah. Okay. Financially, we're not moving quickly at this moment. Hold tight. Don't overspend. Try and make it stretch. Don't do it out of fear. Do it deliberately because it needs to last a certain amount of time. That's all. Okay. Don't be impulsive with anything. Be spontaneous. Learn the difference. Having these two show up together, there's something really nice coming forward here with love and money, with work and love, relationships in general. We're moving into the divine feminine. I think this is really leading into that Jupiter in Pisces, and I'm going to leave it there because of that. This is leaning into that Jupiter moving into Pisces energy, which I think is going to be there until May. So let's just say things are looking up. Things are getting brighter. Things are, you can't see everything right now. And there's a lot of stuff working in the background. And don't focus on what you don't want. Pivot off of what you don't want and start focusing on what you do want. And what you do want should include the connecting to all that is good and positive and uplifting and healing and connecting, making everything a better place. And look at that. That's the magician. So everybody does this little bit of magic and big magic happens. There it is. Temperance. She's pouring from one cup to the other, just like in the Two of Cups. Patience. It's all coming together. That's so nice. What a perfect way to end it. Okay, so happy winter solstice. If you liked this reading, subscribe to the channel, give it the thumbs up. The algorithms do their little thing. Share it with people who you think would enjoy it. And Wednesday, oh gosh, tomorrow, Wednesday, I will do the short little 10-minute readings for all of the signs.